Laws are created to maintain order, protect citizens, and ensure justice. But sometimes they go a little too far and end up making people scratch their heads in disbelief. Across the world, there are some ridiculous laws that could get you arrested for things you would never expect. From outdated rules to odd regulations, these bizarre laws may seem absurd, but they are still technically in effect. Let's dive into some ridiculous laws that could get you arrested for no good reason. In Singapore, it's illegal to chew gum. Singapore is known for its cleanliness, and they take it to an extreme with their ban on chewing gum. The sale and importation of chewing gum are illegal, and if you're caught chewing gum in public places, you could face a hefty fine or even jail time. The reasoning behind this law stems from the fact that people would often discard gum improperly, leading to littering and costly cleaning efforts. While the ban doesn't extend to medicinal gum, for example, nicotine gum or chewing gum for dental purposes, regular chewing gum is strictly prohibited. Imagine being on a flight to Singapore, enjoying a piece of gum, and realizing you've just committed a crime. This law might seem like an overreaction, but it's still in place, and locals are expected to adhere to it. Chewing gum could land you in some sticky legal trouble. In Denmark, it's illegal to start your car. If someone is underneath it, imagine you're trying to fix your car and you forget to check if someone is working under it. In Denmark, starting a car with someone underneath it is illegal, and it could lead to serious consequences if you fail to check for people under your vehicle. This law was created to prevent accidents and injuries, especially when mechanics or car owners work under the car without proper safety measures. It's hard to believe that a law like this would need to exist, but it reflects the Danish focus on public safety. While it's unlikely anyone will be arrested for this, it's still a bizarre and specific law to keep in mind if you ever find yourself in Denmark with a car problem. In Australia, it's illegal to walk on the right side of the sidewalk. In Australia, it's illegal to walk on the right side of the sidewalk in some states. The law in places like Melbourne and Sydney dictates that pedestrians should walk on the left side of the sidewalk. While this law is meant to help organize foot traffic and prevent congestion, it may seem unnecessary in today's world, especially since most people are used to walking however they please. This bizarre regulation could technically get you in trouble if you're caught walking on the wrong side of the sidewalk, but it's rarely enforced. However, with the emphasis on social order and proper behavior in Australia, this is just one of the many small rules that could unexpectedly get you into trouble. In Thailand, it's illegal to step on money. In Thailand, stepping on currency is considered disrespectful, as the country holds its monarchy and its symbols in the highest regard. Thailand's king and royal family are featured on the country's banknotes, and stepping on money is seen as an insult to the monarchy itself. While this law may seem extreme, it's still very much in effect, and stepping on money, even accidentally, could result in a fine or worse. The respect for currency and symbols in Thailand is so strong that even jokingly, stepping on money can lead to legal consequences. So next time you're in Thailand, make sure you handle your bills with care. Otherwise, you might find yourself in serious trouble. In Canada, it's illegal to attach a machine gun to your car. In Canada, attaching a machine gun to your car is illegal. No surprise there, right? But what's more ridiculous is the fact that the law specifies this rule explicitly. The law was originally put in place to discourage armed robberies or car chases involving heavily armed vehicles. However, the idea of attaching a machine gun to your car seems absurd today, as the law remains on the books in certain provinces, despite the fact that no one would ever realistically attempt such a thing. Even though machine guns aren't something people typically attach to their vehicles in modern times, the law still stands, and theoretically, you could get arrested for such an action. This law is definitely an over-the-top measure to prevent any would-be Mad Max-style criminals from causing chaos. But the fact that it's still a law today is nothing short of ridiculous. In New York City, it's illegal to feed pigeons, and public pigeons might be a common sight in cities worldwide. But in New York City, it's actually illegal to feed them in public places. The law was introduced to curb the pigeon population, which had become a public nuisance. Pigeons are known for being prolific breeders, and feeding them only encouraged them to congregate in large numbers, creating even more mess and damage in public spaces. While it might seem harmless to toss a few breadcrumbs to a hungry bird, doing so in NYC could result in a fine. It's one of those laws that seems petty but actually serves a practical purpose in maintaining public cleanliness. So if you're ever in New York, keep your bird food to yourself. Feeding pigeons might just land you in trouble. In the UK, it's illegal to die in the Houses of Parliament. This might sound like a joke, but in the United Kingdom, there's a law that technically makes it illegal to die in the Houses of Parliament. The reasoning behind this odd regulation is that anyone who dies within the walls of Parliament is entitled to a state funeral, which the government wanted to avoid. The idea was that no one should be permitted to die in such a significant location to avoid the logistics and expenses of an official state funeral. Although it's highly unlikely anyone will be arrested or punished for dying in Parliament, and most certainly the law isn't enforced, it remains a quirky and outdated law on the books. The next time you visit the UK, be sure to keep your health in check if you plan on visiting Parliament. In Japan, it's illegal to dance after midnight. In Japan, a law called the cabaret law was once in place, prohibiting people from dancing in public places after midnight. While this law was originally put into effect in the 1940s to combat prostitution and moral decay, it remained in place for decades, even into the 21st century. The law was so strict that it prohibited dancing in clubs, bars, and even at weddings after the stroke of midnight. While the law was officially relaxed in recent years, allowing dancing in certain venues, it still persists in some parts of Japan, making it illegal to dance after hours. The idea that an innocent night of dancing could result in legal consequences is both ridiculous and outdated. So if you're ever in Japan and planning a night of dancing, make sure you don't miss that midnight deadline, or you might end up getting arrested. In Italy, it's illegal to feed seagulls. In many coastal cities around the world, seagulls are a common nuisance, swooping down to snatch food from unsuspecting tourists. But in Italy, it's actually illegal to feed seagulls, especially in popular tourist spots like Venice and Rome. The law was created to keep the birds from becoming too dependent on human food and to preserve the local environment. Feeding the seagulls encourages them to stick around, causing damage to buildings and creating a mess in public areas. If you're planning a trip to Italy, it's best to keep your snacks to yourself, as feeding seagulls could result in a fine. It may seem excessive, but this law is aimed at keeping the balance between humans and nature in check. In Switzerland, it's illegal to flush the toilet after 10 p.m. in an apartment. Switzerland is known for its strict rules, and one of the most bizarre ones involves toilet flushing. In some Swiss apartment buildings, it's illegal to flush the toilet after 10 p.m. The reasoning behind this strange regulation is to prevent disturbing your neighbors with loud sounds during quiet hours. Since flushing a toilet can be quite noisy, especially in older buildings with thin walls, the law seeks to maintain peace and tranquility in residential areas. While the law is more of a courtesy than anything else, it's still officially on the books in some places. So if you're in Switzerland and you have to use the bathroom late at night, you may want to plan ahead and avoid the sound of a toilet flushing. These ridiculous laws might sound absurd, but they still exist in some parts of the world today. While it's unlikely you'll get arrested for most of these offenses, they serve as a reminder of how sometimes laws can become outdated or go overboard. Have you ever encountered a strange or ridiculous law in your own country? Let us know in the comments. Who knows, there might be a bizarre law near you that you had no idea existed.